Hey folks, the daily scan here for October the 14th, Tuesday. And the key today we're going to talk about is the market putting in a lower high. It looks like that's what it's trying to do, but we shall take a look and see. And I'll go through the all of the leaders again also to see if they're doing anything. So as you can see, we're just hanging by a thread right now. I'm not a financial advisor, so this is for educational purposes only. If we go in real quick and take a look at what's happening so far today, I think we had a sell-off in the morning. In fact, it looks kind of like a mirror image. Let's take a look. There's 10-minute charts, so kind of a mirror image of yesterday and Friday. So there's the big sell-off on Friday. We tried to make a comeback, couldn't do it, went down again. We now have a double bottom. So could that be the bottom? So we're now starting to head back up. Well, we have to take out these highs first before that happens. So that's the key. Need to get back up above. Let's see, right now we're at about 66.25. We need to get about 66.70 or so, 6,700 to be safe before we are starting another uptrend, but we still have to take out these previous highs from last week. So we're a long way away. So the question is the market trying to put in a lower high? That's the thing we need to watch for now. So a lower high, first of all, we've already got one. This is on a 10-minute chart, so it doesn't mean that much. We have to look at it really on a longer time frame, which we'll do in a second. Money flow was lower this morning, went up, and now it's kind of rolling over. So we'll see right now if this is going to move higher from here, or if that's a rollover and we end up making a lower low. Technology is selling off. Discretionary is okay. Communications actually went higher and now is flat. So technology, which is the one that's been holding the market up, looks pretty weak today. On the defensive side, they look strong. Staples, utilities, real estate. So the three defensive sectors looks like that's where the rotation is going. Also into financials, healthcare, industrials, materials. So everything out of technology and into some of these other sectors. That's actually a good thing. It's the worst thing is for all of these to be down as well as technology, because then that means money is just moving to cash. But right now it looks like it's rotating into some safer sectors. So we could have some rotation going on. Here's the rotation, growth versus value clearly is down today. Discretionary versus staples down. Technology, of course, semiconductors. Transports is up slightly over the Dow Industrials. And here's the breadth, what the breadth looks like. Breadth started to make a comeback, but they're all the 20 and 50 are still less than zero. So breadth is still not looking that great. The percent above the 20-day is 37%, and the 50-day is 44%. That's for the S&P. And you can see it's still below the 21 EMA. So that's also not a good sign, but it's holding the previous lows down here. Went down and just basically touched the previous low from Friday. But for a healthy comeback, I would rather see it make a high right here. So what I said yesterday was, is this a dead cat bounce? And so far, it looks like it was a dead cat bounce yesterday. So we'll see what happens into the end of the day. Here's the Russell 2000, which actually looks better than the S&P. It's actually now making a higher high from yesterday. So this one actually looks a little bit better. And you can see it's outperforming the S&P. Mid caps outperforming, small caps are outperforming the large cap S&P. Breadth on that one looks pretty much the same. Declining below zero. The 200-day is right at zero. In fact, it's exactly on 50%. This is for mid caps, and for small caps, pretty much the same thing. The 200-day right at 50%. And finally, the NASDAQ 100, big sell-off this morning, big gap down. So big gap up yesterday, big gap down today. So basically giving back everything that it made, but now trying to recover. It's sitting right here, consolidating, trying to decide if it wants to make a new high or make a new low. We shall see. And the VIX started off screaming higher, but now it is pulling back slightly. We're going to look at that here in a second. So let's take a look. First, I'll look at the breadth for NASDAQ 100. Pretty much the same, below the zero line, 37% for the 20, 46% for the 50, and the 200 is at 59%, so it's not below that 50% level. But look at the bullish percent index. So we'll look at that over here. Down here, we have breadth, bullish percent index. You can see there's the S&P. It looks like that looks just like a dead cat bounce. If you wanted to create an image on a chart of a dead cat bounce, that's what it looks like right there. But it hasn't taken out the low yet, so there's still hope. But bullish percent index for the S&P continuing to head down, in fact, accelerating to the downside. Same thing for the NASDAQ 100. This is the percentage of stocks with bullish configurations. The S&P is at 51, almost 52%, and the NASDAQ 100 is exactly 50%. So if that drops below 50%, then more than half of the stocks in the NASDAQ 100 have bearish configurations. So that's what that looks like right now. Now let's take a look at, I do want to look at the VIX. Look at the VIX down here. So the VIX right now, you can see still, it's definitely above 20. So Friday had a huge move up. Monday, it came back down right into the middle of the range between 17 and 20, but now it's back above 20. It was much higher earlier in the day, so it's pulled back a little bit. Actually, just ticked higher if you saw that. This is live. So right now it's at 20.75, and you can see the S&P came down, sitting right on the 50-day, still below the 21. So not really a good look. 10-year continues to move lower. So interesting there. Let's take a look at, I think I also have bullish percent index for the NASDAQ. You can see it's right on the 50% level. So it started to trend higher here, but broke that trend line. Here's the downtrend line up here. So it's actually accelerating. If you imagine a new trend line across these tops, it's actually accelerating to the downside. So not a good look. It looks like the markets are trying to put in a lower high right now. Let's take a look on the dashboard and look at the market carpets today. So there's what it looks like today. So banks have started to report. Interesting, JP Morgan, a lot of them reported good numbers. JP Morgan had great numbers, but they actually are down 2%. So the cards look pretty good. Google is okay. Palantir is moving up. AMD is moving up with the news with Oracle. I would have thought Oracle would move up as well with that news, but it looks like it's just AMD. AMD is getting a big order from Oracle for Oracle's AI cloud. Cisco is green, IBM red. So Salesforce is red, but NVIDIA is the big loser, probably also because of this news with AMD. So AMD is starting to take some of NVIDIA's market share, interestingly. So we'll see how that plays out. And then here's Broadcom right here. So all the red seems to be, here's discretionary, red, Amazon and Tesla. Those are the two biggest components of the discretionary group. Meta looks bad or looks negative, and Lilly is heading down as well. So here's the winners for today. Wells Fargo. Let's see. Wells Fargo looks like the only financials over here. All right, let's go take a look at what's happening with. First, we'll look at the. We'll go to the market bias and look at the longer-term view of the charts for the S&P. This is where it's the flip line has been updated. It's S&P is below the flip line, so we'll see how that works out. It's got a hammer right now. You can see we've come down and touched the 50-day. So this is a really key level of support. It's also the low from Friday. So that's a good sign that it came down and then reversed, as long as it holds that into the close today or something higher. If it turns around and goes back down by the close, then that will be negative. So that's what that looks like. You can see down here, you can see the VIX clearly above the 20 right there, similar to what it looked like back here in August, but it's actually much bigger bars. And actually the VIX has been moving up for the last month, has been moving higher very quietly and slowly. But now Friday and then yesterday and today, it's continuing to go up above that 20 line. All right. And the momentum is getting ready to cross below zero. So that's not a good sign either. NASDAQ 100, same kind of thing. It's got a hammer today. So that's a bullish reversal potentially. You need to have confirmation, but it's sitting right below the 21. So again, very, very important critical support level to see whether the markets can turn around from here. It looks to me like buy the dippers want to continue to buy the dip, whereas others perhaps are seeing this as an opportunity to get out after this big red candle right here. So there's a real battle going on right now between buy the dip folks and the bears to see who wins that battle. Russell 2000, as I said before, looked better than the others. You can see a nice solid candle sitting right on the expected move, interestingly, for this week. So that's where most of the money seems to go. Here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's always the one to watch before the market opens. And I saw it this morning with a big red candle. So it looked to me like today would open weaker, which it did. Bitcoin now is below the 50-day. Came down 3 days in a row and touched this, not in a row because this one day it was higher, but 3 days right together touched this level. So that is a key support level right there for Bitcoin. Needs to hold 109, call it 110. Needs to hold 110. If it breaks below 110, then it could take out these previous. This is a very solid support area right here at 1085. So that's the thing to watch on Bitcoin, and momentum is rolling over on that as well. All right. While we're on that topic, let's go take a look at the Magnificent Seven, and we'll step through each of these charts. And I talked about this before about Jesse Livermore and how he realized whether the market was getting ready to decline is when the leaders no longer can make new highs. So that's the thing that we'll be watching. We'll just go down the list here. On this page right here, this is on just one of these buttons here. This is the Magnificent Seven. This is the trend model. So it shows you the short-term, medium-term, and long-term trends. And it shows you the dates that they changed and whether they're positive or negative right now. You can see Netflix actually got a short-term uptrend yesterday. So it changed from red to green. But you can look at a longer-term view with the zoom out button. You can look at a monthly view. You can look at where the changes have actually occurred. This actually show you on Google. It's actually, oh, hit the wrong button. That's the earnings. So this is Google. Shows you down here, shows you where the short term is the pink one. Medium term is blue, which is not on this chart. So it had a short-term signal was actually right here. And then the long-term signal is the red. So right now we are in an uptrend clearly, but sitting right on the 21 and looks like it's bouncing higher. So that's a positive sign for Google. So that's what that looks like. But the plus sign is the zoomed in view of each of these. So this just gives you a little bit better view. And the thing to be watching for is, can it get back to its new high? So Google has two green bars in a row, but it's not back to the new high, previous high. That's what we want to watch for all of these. Here's Amazon, definitely below its previous high. Red bar today, so 3 red bars in a row. There is the critical support level. It actually went below it today, but right now it's above it slightly. Here's Apple, can't make it back. It's below the 21. Meta, definitely can't make it back. Here's the critical support level down here for Meta. It's trying to bounce back higher as well. Here's Microsoft, 3 red bars in a row below all the moving averages. But critical line is down here, so it's not there yet, but it can't make new highs either. So you can see the all-time high back here, and it can't get back to it. NVIDIA is going to be an interesting one to watch because it did make a new high. So this is a new all-time high for NVIDIA, but now it's below the 21 move EMA, sitting right at the 50. can it go up and break out of this previous high, or is it going to come up and make a lower high, just like all the rest of them have done? So this is the leader of the leaders, NVIDIA. So we really need to watch that. There's Tesla, can't make it back to its new highs. Looks like it's trying to make a run, but it's a red bar today, so it's lower than yesterday. Here's Netflix. Netflix is one of the positive ones that actually has been recovering nicely. So it's above all of its moving averages, but again, still not back to the previous highs. So it's making a lower high right now as well. Broadcom, same thing, lower high. Costco, there's the clear downtrend line. It's trying to make a comeback right now, but it needs to get back up here above the 50-day. Palantir, that is a downward sloping trend line right here. So there's 3 points right there where Palantir has not two where it has not been able to make a new high. So Palantir has a red bar trying to come back up today. So we'll see. It's also in a squeeze right now. But all of these are looking similar. They're not making new highs. Arista Networks did make a new high, but now it has broken below its previous lows and below the 50-day. So it might be falling apart, actually. Lilly did make a new high, so it's pulling back right now. That's a healthy pullback for Lilly, sitting right above the 21. And we've also got Oracle in here, also not making new highs. So Oracle had some good news this morning, and it has a green bar today, but it can't make it back to its previous highs before. Now with Oracle had a big gap up right here. So for those that have studied Darvis, you should be able to pick out a Darvis box on this one. And basically, I'm not going to use this big gap up right there. So the Darvis box is probably right here for Oracle. Right there. So if it breaks out of the top, then this is Darvis's theory, his box theory. And you can read his book where how he made $2.5 million in 18 months using this process. He was a ballroom dancer, by the way, so he was self-taught. So here's the flag. Here's the flagpole over here. And I'll draw a flagpole. Here's a flagpole right here. And there is a long bullish flag pattern. But again, it needs to break out of the top. So the measured move for this would be roughly about 220 to the middle of this is 300. So that's about 80 points. So that implies 380 would be the target on Oracle if it breaks out of the top. Now with Darvis, he would put a stop right below that. In this case, the stop would be right at the 50-day moving average. So that's the thing to watch with Oracle. Here's SMCI also not making new highs. Here's AMD. Looks very similar to Oracle. Let's also draw in a Darvis box on this one. In this case, the Darvis box would be pretty much like this. So there's your Darvis box, and here's the flagpole right there. So on this one, the measured move would be, let's see, it would be roughly right about the bottom of this, about 160 to the middle here is about 220. So that's 60 points. So about 280 is the target for this, maybe a little bit higher. So 280 on the upside, if it breaks out of the top. Of course, if it breaks out of the bottom, then your stop should take you out. But that's what we're watching on those. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see how things pan out. Is the market trying to make a lower high? That's the big question of the day. Let's go back to the daily charts and just see where we are. Right now, it is 11:45 a.m. on the East Coast. So just before I sign off, let's see what's going on. All right, green bars. Looks like we're still just hanging out at that consolidation area right below the moving average, in between the two key moving averages. So It'll be interesting to see how this ends the day. I think this will be a very critical day. Now, remember, it's options expiration this week. So options expire on Friday, usually Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday of the following week are the most volatile. So the implication is that this could continue to go down because of options expiration, but that doesn't mean it will. So it needs to take out these highs right here, 66.70, before we know that we're in a new uptrend. So that's the thing to watch for today. All right, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If there's anything you'd like me to check into, be happy to do that. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.